Hello, welcome to Plus Sports on Plus TV Africa. I am Makal Tinubu. Happy to have you with me this morning. We have some interesting sports news this morning, but at first I want to find out if Sayo Oguntoye has joined us this morning. But pending the time he does, the Afghanistan flag flew high in solidarity as the 2020 Paralympic Games kicked off in Tokyo on Tuesday, August 24th, with the opening ceremony. Afghanistan's two Paralympic athletes were forced to withdraw from the Games after the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan, but their country's flag was still paraded at the opening ceremony in Tokyo National Stadium. The colorful opening ceremony was based around the concept, "We have wings." Set in a para airport, the celebrations followed the journey of the little one-winged plane who thought she had to give up on her dreams of flying because she had only had one wing, but eventually found her wings. Tokyo is the first city to host the Summer Paralympic Games for a second time, having held the Paralympics in 1964. The Games began as Japan struggles with its worst COVID-19 outbreak so far, record daily cases, and an overwhelmed medical system. The organizers admitted last week that the Paralympics will be held under very difficult circumstances, as Japan's health situation has worsened since the Olympic Games ended on August 8th, and hospitals in the host city are filled to capacity. While the number of athletes and officials traveling from abroad is less than a third of that during the Olympics, Japan reported more than 25,000 daily cases on 3 days last week, up from less than 15,000 when the Olympics ended earlier this month. Truly amazing and spectacular display of Japanese culture. Certainly furthering the necessity of overcoming adversity no matter what. Now, on to FIFA. FIFA World Soccer's governing body will receive $201 million in compensation for losses sustained in global soccer corruption schemes. The United States Department of Justice, DOJ, said on Tuesday, August 24th, the money was seized from the bank accounts of former officials who were involved in the schemes and then prosecuted following a probe into years of corruption within world soccer. Since the DOJ unveiled the corruption probe in 2015, more than 50 defendants have been criminally charged. 27 people and 4 corporate entities have pleaded guilty, and 2 people were convicted at trial. The DOJ said $32.3 million in forfeited funds has been approved for an initial distribution to FIFA. CONCACAF, the confederation responsible for soccer in North and Central America, CONMEBOL, which represents soccer in South America and various constituent national soccer federations. The funds will go into a new World Football Remission Fund to help finance football-related programs across the globe. Many of the defendants were ordered to forfeit assets obtained through criminal activity. Under U.S. law, the DOJ has the authority to distribute the proceeds of forfeited assets to victims of crimes, including to the soccer organizations that were defrauded. Reynaldo Vasquez, the former president of El Salvador's Soccer Federation, pleaded guilty on Monday to a racketeering conspiracy charge arising from a corruption investigation involving the payment of bribes to stage and broadcast matches. Shai, are you there?
Yeah.
Good
Yeah,
morning.
I'm here. Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I find this story to be quite interesting because obviously, wherever the humans are, there's always going to be some level of corruption. It's practically unavoidable. However, does this bode a better future for FIFA and keeping out corruption from the organization?
Well, to start with, Joseph Blatter's regime was marked with corruption. And having said that, ever since it was bundled out and Infantino came on board. I don't think there has been corruption, or let me say corruption has been in the minimal sense now in FIFA, so to say. So having said that, I think it's a step in the right direction. $201 million pound. I mean, it's an outrageous sum of money which was injected out of FIFA and into the corruption pockets. Let me say. So it's a bad one though, but it's a good one now that the money is back into FIFA. So it will like Infantino said, be used for the purpose it was intended
Speaking of
for, and
money,
also.
speaking of money taken out of FIFA's coffers, certainly $201 million is a drop in the bucket of how much money has been siphoned by these officials that were investigated, charged, and indicted and charged. Do you think that we will get any more news about more funds being recovered?
It's possible, very possible, because the truth is you can never get all money that has been siphoned out of FIFA completely. You can never get 100%, but at least the little you get, then you are actually making something. And I
This
think it serves as.
This whole episode certainly sets a precedent that FIFA is not above scrutiny. And it took the United States, a country that hasn't been internationally recognized as being as invested in soccer for many decades in the past, it took that country to bring down this corrupt cabal within FIFA. Going forward, are more countries likely to take an interest in investigating the excesses of FIFA? Shire?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to agree with you on that. And I think if you look at how the matter has gone by now, everyone is happy. The United States, the Court of Justice is happy. FIFA themselves are happy. And even the football fans in general too are happy. The Football Foundation too, which Infantino was talking about too, is happy. So everyone is happy, and we hope to be much more happy when we get news of more of this in the coming days.
Now, going into tennis, mental health has been a major topic of discussion for many months now since Naomi Osaka. And it seems that we're getting some form of movement in regards to how the organizers deal with this. The United States Tennis Association announced a mental health initiative for players on Tuesday. It comes ahead of the US Open, which kicks off next week. In a statement, the USTA wrote that all competitors would have access to comprehensive medical services, including mental health providers and quiet rooms on site. The initiative comes as mental health in sports has become a hot topic in sports. The issue of mental health awareness has been brought to the forefront over the course of the global pandemic, as many individuals, players included, have struggled with the stresses and emotions that have come as a result of COVID-19, said US Open Tournament Director Stacey Alister. World number 2 Naomi Osaka withdrew from the French Open in May following a dispute with tournament organizers over mandatory media appearances, which she said placed undue pressure on players. She later disclosed she had suffered from bouts of depression for years. French Open tournament organizers conceded later that they could do better addressing the mental health of the athletes. Osaka is expected to play at the US Open, which will kick off on August 30. The issue was again front and center at the Tokyo Olympics when four-time gold medal winning gymnast Simone Biles won worldwide support after dropping out of the several events she was scheduled for at the Tokyo Games, citing the need to focus on her mental health. Brian Heinlein, first vice president of the USTA and a professor of neurology at Indiana University and New York University, said he hoped the program would increase accessibility to mental health support.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. For an athlete to perform at an optimal level, they need to actually have their mental issues well taken care of. And that is why, like you said, this is a step in the right direction. The athletes are now being, the initiative is now out for mental resources to, for the athletes.
This sets a precedent. Many other sports might choose to take further steps to further this discussion and improve their attention to mental health problems of their athletes. Going forward, are we still likely? Okay, let me rephrase. Going forward, are we getting better at dealing with mental health in our society, given the pressures that sports and high performance jobs like sports seem to have, especially in this era of pandemic?
Well, going forward, I think it will cut across every thing a human does. For example, let's still stay with sports. If we can have this mental health resolved in sport, for example, that means we're going to have better games, better quality in terms of what we see on the screen, and better results. That is now for sports. What about in the larger society now? It also cuts across the same positive outlook. So it's positive, no doubt about it. And I think it's something every other sports or every other facet in the entire human society should imbibe.
All right, now on to some football transfer news. Real Madrid have made a 160 million euro bid for Paris Saint-Germain France forward Kylian Mbappe. Spanish and French media reported on Tuesday. There was no immediate comment from either club. France's L'Equipe said PSG's position remained unchanged, with the League One club determined to keep Mbappe until at least the end of his contract in June next year, even if he could then leave for nothing. The move is a first step by Real Madrid, who have long had their sights on the 22-year-old World Cup winner, who scored 42 goals in all competitions for PSG last season, and has reportedly said he wants to move to Spain. Sky Sports said the offer was made on Sunday. Any sale of Mbappe would allow PSG to recoup some of the costs of Lionel Messi's salary package after they signed the Argentine forward and six-time Ballon d'Or winner from Barcelona earlier this month. PSG ended last season with only one major trophy, the French Cup, after losing the league title by 1 point to Lille and crashing out in the Champions League semi-finals. Real now managed by Italian Carlo Ancelotti were runners-up domestically last season to City rivals Atletico Madrid. Mbappe joined PSG from AS Monaco in 2017 on loan initially and then permanently a year later in a deal valued at 180 million euros. This deal has been in the wings for a while. Many have even said, why haven't Real Madrid already made a bid earlier, a week before, 2 weeks before? Obviously, it's a tactic on their part to make the bid at basically the last minute in order to force PSG to either cash in on their player or accept a major loss next season. Do Real Madrid need Kylian Mbappe this season, though? Shayo.
Yes, they actually need a Kylian Mbappe who would force, defenders to make mistakes in the La Liga. And I think I want to say this: Messi's arrival at PSG has unsettled Kylian Mbappe. Don't forget, Messi is not his choice when it comes to the greatest of all time in football. It is Ronaldo. So that must have actually, angered him, so to say. So I'm not surprised this bid is coming out. I'm not surprised Kylian wants to leave by all means now because he's not happy and you cannot keep an unhappy player. So he's going to Real Madrid. He's going to be very happy again and explosive.
Well, he is now falling down the pecking order in terms of importance at the club, with Messi at the top, Neymar as second, and him. And even that was reflected in the latest contract offer PSG offered to him. Now, you mentioned Ronaldo. If this deal is completed, might it now allow PSG to go after Ronaldo, which will be cheaper for about 30 million, maybe 40 at the most, and allow them to replace a major loss in Kylian Mbappe?
Well, one thing with football is that you never can say there is no permanent enemies. if if Ronaldo finally leaves Juve and goes to PSG, then I think Kylian will be the one to miss out most likely, because this is his idol. He has always loved to play on the same field with, on the same side with anyway, and it's not going to happen if he leaves. And so it remains to be seen though. But PSG will be too much of stars now, because how would they be able to cope with the wages?
Well,
Ronaldo also is going to command a whole lot of wages.
it might actually benefit Real Madrid to not sign Kylian Mbappe this season, because all of that money they've accrued from sales so far could then be spent next season, picking up Kylian Mbappe for free and still having plenty of resources to improve the squad by buying Haaland, which is a major option they've been considering. In the past, it had either been Kylian Mbappe or Haaland, because they couldn't afford both. But next season, should Kylian Mbappe come over to Madrid for free, they would definitely be able to afford having both players in their squad.
Absolutely, I want to agree with that. But can Madrid be that patient? The only fight power they have now is a Karim Benzema, who is also aging. They also have Eden Hazard, who is not always fit. Hazard can be fit now. The next 2-3 months is out injured. So they really need to force their way into the top two in the La Liga, and the only way they can do this is to get quality players. But like you said, also they can wait till next season and get this man for free, and then reinforce in other departments, or even still in the attack, where they can get the Erling Haaland they actually crave and desire for. So it remains to be seen though, whichever option they take, one will affect them presently and will favor them in the future, while the other will just add a soothing relief for the moment for them.
All right. Thank you for joining us today, Sayo. I look forward to speaking to you more later.
It's always a pleasure.
Now, Barcelona fans were treated to some much-needed good news on Tuesday after Ansu Fati made his long-awaited return to the first team. The 18-year-old sensation was seen in training with the rest of the squad, having finally recovered from the knee injury suffered back in November 2020. It's expected that the Spaniard could return to the pitch in mid-September after the international break. Ansu Fati, I am happy to hear that such a talented player is back, and we look forward to watching him over the course of the season. Thank you to everyone at home and at work for joining us on Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. I am Mikhail Tinubu. Remember, life is never boring with some sports.